Hey guys, let's get more news about Steelers, but first, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave a like. Breaking, DK Metcalf requests trade, Seahawks will explore it as Steelers get another big-name possibility. This is the year for the Pittsburgh Steelers to need wide receiver help. With a long list of expiring contracts, cap casualties, and trade possibilities, the biggest name just got added to the list. Seattle Seahawks DK Metcalf has requested a trade, according to multiple reports, and the team will reportedly explore it, per NFL Network's Ian Rappaport. That news will surely draw intrigue from the Steelers. Rumors around Metcalf have existed since last summer and perked back up in recent weeks. It appears Metcalf is searching for a bigger contract after signing a $72 million extension in 2022. The news comes directly on the heels of veteran Seahawks wide receiver Tyler Lockett announcing he won't return to Seattle in 2025. Jacksonville Jaguars veteran Christian Kirk is also being released. A height/weight/speed unicorn, Metcalf has been a playmaker since being drafted by the Seattle Seahawks in 2019. He's caught 438 career passes for 6,324 yards and 48 touchdowns, making a pair of Pro Bowls over that span. Part of that time came with Russell Wilson as his Seattle quarterback, Metcalf spending his first 3 seasons with him before Wilson was traded to the Denver Broncos. In 2024, Metcalf caught 66 passes for just shy of 1,000 yards and 5 touchdowns, averaging 15 yards per reception. Still just 27 years old, he would be a major splash for Pittsburgh's passing game. Of course, it won't come cheap in contract and likely draft compensation. It's unclear what Metcalf could fetch in a trade, but it won't be a low-level day 3 selection. But Pittsburgh has cap space and cash to spend, and dealing for Metcalf would remove the need to spend an early draft selection on a wide receiver. Pittsburgh will need to get its quarterback situation settled before making a play for any receiver. That could come by week's end, according to ESPN's Adam Schefter. The Steelers have spent the offseason touting changes. So far, there have been few. Adding Metcalf would be the monster move to re-energize a frustrated fan base and breathe life into a stagnant offense. Tim Benz, Steelers QB quandary could present catch-22 situation with potential receivers. I'm not quite sure if this qualifies as a chicken or the egg kind of problem for the Steelers. But it feels like it can be placed under that tent. Plus, with the price of eggs these days, I'm not sure the Steelers could fit a dozen under the salary cap. But as Adam Schefter of ESPN pointed out on Tuesday's Pat McAfee show, the franchise wants to figure out who its starting quarterback is going to be by roughly the end of this week, because when the legal negotiation window opens on Monday, they'd like to know who the most important player on offense is going to be. To say nothing of how much he'll eat of the salary cap. Pittsburgh is determined to try to get one of these quarterback deals done in the coming days so that it has some clarity going into free agency, Schefter said. It's tough to go into free agency, to go add to your offense, when you have no idea who's playing quarterback. That's why I think they're going to spend this week working on getting a deal done with either Justin Fields or Russell Wilson. Seems logical to me, especially considering the Steelers' pressing need to acquire a veteran wide receiver. Here's the problem, though. What if the move at quarterback that makes more sense for the team isn't the move that is more attractive to many of those wide receivers? In my eyes, the more prudent decision for the Steelers is probably to choose Fields. He's younger. He might have more upside. The front office may have an easier time spreading out his cap hit over multiple years than you would with Wilson. And the organization might be able to better sell the optimism of what could still be untapped with Fields, as opposed to the nearly tapped keg that was Wilson at the end of 2024. From those angles, going with Fields instead of Wilson makes sense. However, I bet most of the potentially available wide receivers, who would come to Pittsburgh through free agency or some sort of approved trade with a contract extension, would prefer Wilson. From their standpoint, I'm guessing most of the rumored veteran pass catchers, Davante Adams, Christian Kirk, Darius Slay, Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf, Cooper Kupp, view Fields as a totally unpolished prospect. Whereas, I suspect most of those guys see Wilson as a much more sculpted product with a more accurate arm and a much better deep ball. My presumption is landing any one of those names or others who may be available would be easier to do if it's Wilson at the helm and not Fields. So, maybe it isn't a chicken or the egg thing after all. Maybe it's more of a catch-22. Then again, given the state of the receiver room last year, no one could catch 22 of anything. That was sort of the problem in the first place. Pittsburgh Steelers projected to splurge on $160 million QB signing. The Pittsburgh Steelers enter the 2025 NFL offseason needing to find an answer at the quarterback position. Both Russell Wilson and Justin Fields are set to hit free agency. Fields seems more likely to be re-signed than Wilson, but there are still questions about how comfortable the Steelers would be committing to Fields as their starter. That being said, a new projection has been made that would see Pittsburgh taking a huge swing on a new starting quarterback in NFL free agency. Henry McKenna of Fox Sports has projected that the Steelers will end up signing Sam Darnold. There aren't many places where I'd get excited about Darnold's prospects. But Pittsburgh is one of them. For all the complaining about Mike Tomlin's spot in 10-win purgatory, he is doing something remarkable, McKenna wrote. He continued forward, stating that he thinks Darnold would be able to take the team deep into the postseason. This isn't Jeff Fisher, McKenna wrote. It's almost impossible to have sustained success in the way Tomlin is doing it. And he did a much overlooked job of getting to double-digit wins with a QB who looked like a total bust, Justin Fields, and another who looked totally washed, Russell Wilson. I think Darnold is better than both of those guys. He could get this team deep into the postseason. Darnold is one of the top players available this offseason. He is expected to receive a hefty new contract from whoever signs him. Spotrac currently has his next deal projected to be around 4 years and just under $160.5 million. Darnold is fresh off of a monstrous season with the Minnesota Vikings. He completed 66.2% of his passes for 4,319 yards, 35 touchdowns, and 12 interceptions. It will be interesting to see if Pittsburgh actually does show interest in Darnold. With their need for a quarterback, it's not out of the realm of possibility that the Steelers would show interest. And you, fan? What do you think about the situation of Sam Darnold? Write to us in the comments.